Hi, I'm John Green, and welcome to Crash Course World History. But today we'll be talking about Canada and the Cold War. Man, is it cold in here? Is it because we're talking about Canada, or is it because we're talking about the Cold War? Oh, it's just Woodburn messing with the thermostat. Mr. Green, what does Canada have to do with the Cold War? I thought it was just between the U.S. and the Soviet Union and the proxy wars. Where's Canada? Why is Canada here? Yes, me from the past. It might seem that way, but Canada's implementation in the Cold War is often oversimplified. Canada was mainly focused on self-protection and strategic alliances with the U.S. Remember back in school when our teachers made us hide under our desks because, desks are designed to protect you from nuclear warfare? Yes, that feature was only available for people who purchased the Life DLC for $49.99. Do Canadian kids have to do that as well? Canada had nationwide drills for nuclear attacks. However, as opposed to hiding under desks, they would hide in basements or special structures that they built just for the nuclear attacks. So what you're saying is, Canada outdid the US once again, making it the true and only global superpower?
That's what I'm saying. Canada, eh?
Sorry, YouTube, but let's keep this into perspective. In the words of the great French writer, historian, philosopher, social critic Voltaire, Canada is nothing but a few acres of snow. Cue the intro. Canada was overall the most important ally to the US due to its close proximity and economic cooperation. Although the US and Canada were allies, there were still times of disagreement between these two regarding Cuba and Vietnam. Both the Cold War in Canada started in 1945 when a Soviet embassy employee smuggled 109 documents out of the embassy and tried to present them to the Canadian police. The main fear of Canada's government during the Cold War was that the Soviet Union would try to shoot missiles over them to the US and over the Arctic Circle, and Canada would be caught in the crossfire. When the Korean War broke out, Canada sent its third largest U.S. delegation of soldiers to Korea. This included 27,000 sailors and aircrew. Over 500 Canadians were killed, and 1,500 were wounded in Korea. The Prime Minister, Louis St. Laurent, was committed to following the UN. The Canadian government also issued its biggest peacetime rearmament in the history of the country. They also contributed over 10,000 troops to NATO. Oh, it's time for the open letter. Magic. This is an open letter by Igor Gonzenko. First, let's check the secret compartment. Hank, I can't find the secret compartment. Where's it at?
Well, if you knew where the secret compartment would be, it wouldn't be much of a secret compartment.
Sometimes I wish I was an only child. Back to the open letter. Dear Igor Gonzenko, hey there, it's me, John Green. You are a badass. I will remind you that there's no cussing here as long as there's an actual ass on the screen. Put it on. Well, I think that counts. Anyways, you single-handedly brought the Cold War in Canada, the Cold War to Canada. On September 5th, 1945, you, a Soviet embassy employee, smuggled 109 confiscated documents out of the embassy. You were then attempted to defect to Canada and present the documents to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Department of Justice, and the Ottawa Journal. Even after they all rejected you the first time, you kept trying. The Soviets searched you relentlessly while you played the 2-day-long waiting game until on September 7th, the government placed you in protective custody. The documents that you leaked revealed a Soviet spy ring in Canada that had infiltrated the Canadian Civil Service, the military, the British High Commission, atomic researchers, and even the Canadian Parliament. You opened the eyes of the Canadian leaders of the threat of communism in Canada, leading to a series of arrests and many charges of treason. Following this affair, you changed your name to George Brown and always wore a pillowcase hood to conceal your identity. But then you wrote and published a book about your defection, and it appeared on TV to promote it. This is Spider-Man level secret identity stuff. You died of a heart attack in 1982, which is ironic because lower temperatures are supposed to cause a lower chance of heart attack. But you were just so cool that you went to Canada, brought the entire Cold War with you, multiple books, movies, plays, and other things were made commemorating your heroics. Stay cool, John Green. Canada remained neutral during the Vietnam War, but provided aid to the U.S. and South Vietnam. During this time, 5 new prerequisites for joining war or alliances were developed. Alliances had to be economic and social, not just military. Canadian action has to be supported by the people and the countries involved. Other countries in the region had to support Canadian actions. No reestablishment of colonialism in any form, and any multilateral actions had to be confirmed by the UN Charter. The Canadian public was very anti-war. Despite this, relations with the U.S. improved under Prime Minister Pearson. Canada's support of the United States included providing war materials, including chemical weapons, the regulations grew more tense as the war went on, and Canada accepted the U.S. draft dodgers and deserters, as well as refugees from Southeast Asia. Oh, it's time for the mystery document. The rules are simple. I guess the author of the mystery document, and I usually fail and get shocked by a pet. I do. Pet. And unlike the haters say, this is a real shark pet. Look how fancy it is. It's great pet. Great, let's see what we have here. In my opinion, it is extremely important that this crisis, there be absolutely no doubt whatsoever that the Canadian government will stand beside the President of the United States and the government of that and the people of that country in their decision to resist the hostile penetration of Russian communism in this hemisphere. This is a memo by John Diefenbaker. So, ding ding ding. Yeah! Woo! Okay. Back to our regular scheduled program. During the Cuban Missile Crisis, Canada fully supported the United States. The Canadian government was afraid of the Soviet Union hitting them in the crossfire if they launched a nuclear attack at the U.S. Canada took a vote and decided to follow the U.S., but didn't join the OAS. The Prime Minister, John Diefenbaker, wasn't down with your boy Kennedy like Kennedy was down with your boy. Must have been a big headache. Eventually, they decided the crisis was important enough to Canada to raise the alert level to ready state. Diefenbaker's hesitant response is credited as the reason for him losing the re-election. Crash Course is produced by Elijah Russell and directed by Ian Thornsberg. Our script supervisor is Elijah Russell. The show is written by Asher Jack, Elijah Russell, Ian Thornsberg, and myself. In our graphics team is Thought Bubble, headed by Elijah Russell. Thank you so much for watching, and as they say in Canada,
the moose is loose about the hoose.